Hello, my dear.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm
you
good.
Lost weight.
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. All right, so we are here with Danielle Menashe. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Danielle and I have known each other for a long time within the industry. She's one of the top thought leaders in the space, and I'm excited to. I haven't seen you in a while, so it's nice to reconnect. So tell everyone what you do or what you've done, and what your sort of role is within the industry.
Okay.
But you have to pull the mic up a little bit closer.
No, I know.
Okay.
We're not there yet, right? We haven't started yet.
Yeah, we're good. Don't worry. We're winging it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we're just rolling. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. It's a pleasure to see you. And I just wanted to say it's great to be here. I wasn't going to come today, but I decided to come because it feels like it's a reunion for all of us to be here. But I'm Danielle Menashe, and I run my own company called Events, and I'm really thrilled to be here this afternoon.
And what's your background? So you just started your own business, but you have a tremendous breadth of experience. So when you and I met, you led the global event team for AllianceBernstein.
Correct.
Right, and AllianceBernstein is
an
investment bank. Okay.
Firm, research and management.
Right, but large company. About how big of a team did you manage, roughly?
7 people.
Okay,
6 to 7
and about
people.
how many events a year did you do, roughly?
I would say 100 to 150.
Okay, and after that, you switched over to another financial organization. Which
Correct.
one was that?
So what happened is AllianceBernstein was moving to Nashville, and we elected to stay in New York, and we moved to PGIM, which is the prudential arm of PGIM Prudential Management.
Okay.
And I was very fortunate to be able to take with me 2 of my colleagues who had worked with me at AllianceBernstein, and this was right in the thick of the pandemic.
Oh.
So we were extremely grateful to be able to say that we were doing events and had to reinvent ourselves, as you know, during the pandemic. So this was quite amazing.
And what does your current company do? What would you like to be able to do? What is your favorite way of working in the industry?
Sure. One of the things that I have always loved about our industry is, to become, somebody mentioned this the other day, to become goosebump chasers.
Oh, I like that.
I know. I did not come up with it.
Goosebump chasers. I like that a lot.
And I have to say, one of the great things about our business is that we are creative enough that we can come up with that. So I think that what had happened is during the pandemic is we were just surviving, and I think that now that the world is in a better place and we're all in a different place, I think that is where I would like to sort of like focus my energy in. But doing it in a different way, doing it, for good causes, doing it with a purpose and with more, with better sort of like intensity, but as well making sure that I'm more focused on what is the objective that I would like to kind of accomplish. Instead of just doing events after events, I want to have to be more intentional with the way I do events.
We just, I've said this repeatedly today, but we launched a course last month on event measurement and analytics. And actually, Venu and Joe, and Venu's companies, this is her company's booth, they are the instructors. And so we finally got around to codifying and teaching different ways of measuring an event's success, and how do you then demonstrate and prove that success to the stakeholders. And as you probably know from experience, there were probably a lot of events that were repeated year after year.
Yep.
And people maybe didn't really know why they did them. And if you don't have a clear reason or goal to measure, there is a big danger that either the event just gets canceled or the event just slowly dies and doesn't innovate. And as the planner and designer of the event, it's not necessarily a great look for you either, right?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
how hard is it to push the envelope with people in the financial industry? Because let's be honest, they're brilliant at analytics and numbers, maybe not always the most creative.
Yep.
So to present to a managing director who heads up, I don't know, the industrials group, they're used to doing the same event over and over.
Right.
How do you bring to them the concept of, okay, let's really start to hone in on how do we measure success?
Absolutely. And it's a good point. I think that more than ever, the bottom line says we need to measure the efficacy of events, and I think that it is really important to have measurements. I do think that, as you know, in the financial industry, the way you measure success is over a longer period of time and under different sort of levels of connectors, so that you don't just say, oh, you've attended, check mark, this event was successful because you got somebody that was important who attended. You need to have components of trust that you're building, and I think that as you build more and more trust, you have more of these channels that you develop that will eventually lead to a to being able to conclude business. I think that what has happened is during our virtual moments, it was so easy to measure, to take all of these measurements, because you knew the exact journey.
Virtual has great data.
Great data. I mean,
By the way, are you okay with the audio? Does she need to hold the mic closer? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that it's really important to continue in that vein, because we had that during the virtual event periods, but now as we go back in person more and more, I think that we need to continue that sort of search and make sure that we understand where our clients are, how they want to be met, and what constitute the ROI. We had actually at PGIM an amazing analytics team that would be able to say, did we communicate with our top tier clients? Did we have certain things happen as a result of certain touch points, etc.? But I think that at the end of the day, we are in a transition period, and I think that the way we get business closing opportunities, I think, is very different. I think that people want to be heard differently, and people want to be taught differently, and people need to kind of feel a certain comfort level before they will give you business. And I think that the way you understand business has to be sort of altered a little bit.
Do you think that the skill level of the event professionals, do you think that most of them know how to do that, or that let me back up. Do you feel that a lot of event professionals have the confidence to sit down with a senior executive who's hosting the event, whose division is paying for the event, to potentially challenge them and say, well, let's back up and decide why we're doing this? I've noticed a lot of times, particularly in finance, when you've got a major power and income disparity, that they're challenged by it.
Yeah.
And I consulted for a year with an investment bank, and one of the things that I did was, there was a group. They break into different groups. There's technology and health and industrials, etc. One of the group had been doing an annual conference every year where they bring in companies to present that are considering going public or looking to be acquired or what have you, and they arrange a number of one-on-one meetings, but the event had gotten stale. And the two managing directors who led that group were thinking of just scrapping the event. And we said, why don't we do a little bit of digging, and I had one-on-one meetings with all of the direct reports to those two heads. They were either managing directors or a couple of senior vice presidents. And I said, I want to hear from you. What does this event do for you? What works? What doesn't work? Should we keep it? And the feedback was amazing. And a number of them, and they knew I was going to pass this up to their bosses, right? I said, I'm going to anonymize it, but you know, it's a small group, so you know, there's a chance they may figure out who it is. But most of them said, I don't care. I said, number one, I can point to 5 pieces of business that I've gotten from this event over the last 2 years. Each piece of business is worth $5 million. Number 2, I can point to X number of leads that I've gotten that have turned into business later. Number 3, the head of this group needs a speaker coach. He gets up there, he's brilliant, but he puts people to sleep. Number 4, why can't we get the, I mean, I just got this flood of great insights and presented it in a little paper, and I said, this event is great, you can't scrap it, but we need to make a couple of changes. The team knows what to say, but nobody's asked them, and as a consultant or even as a meeting department, you can be that sort of honest broker and say, look, we want to make this better, let's just not blindly keep doing the same thing over and over. But the in-house event team did not have the confidence or the gravitas to have those conversations, and yet there were these opportunities sitting there waiting for them.
It's so true. And I do think that it depends on your level of experience and the way top management sees you as a professional, but 100%. And I do think that it's important to revisit how you look at these events, because the world has changed also. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything has changed, and we can't afford just redoing the same things. I do think that, you know, the numbers speak for themselves, but to your point, somebody can say anecdotally that, you know, an influencer is more important for the business than the actual, you know, business itself for something. So yeah, I think that it's interesting what you're saying.
Okay. Last question. What are you most excited about as for the future of the industry over the next couple of years?
I think people are not going to as many events right now, and it's taking a while for people to realize that, you know, being connected is continuing to be as important. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like people's perceptions are such that they can do a lot via virtual meetings and phone calls or Zooms, etc. So I think that for me the challenge is to really do differentiating types of experiences that are going to enrich people's lives, not just, you know, just a big wow and factor, but do something that will create better communities and make us better people, I think, at the end. Because I think that as older people or as parents, we owe it to ourselves to look out for the next generations, and I think that it's going to be important for us to do to kind of focus on what the future needs to look like for the next of kin that we have. And I'm hoping that all of these events are going to be important for them.
Perfect. I think that's a great point for us to end on.
Thank you.
Danielle Mash, thanks so much for doing this. I'm so glad you made it over here.
Thank you.
We have to catch up back in New York.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Safe
all right. Thank you.
Thanks.
We have two more, okay?
You can edit a lot of it.
No, we're not editing any of it. Don't worry. I'm going to send it to you.
No,
I'm going to send it to you. Okay, wait 1 second.